So this is Jacob. And Jacob was just accepted to Harvard Law School. And like 9 out of 10 law students, he will eventually shell out $4,000 for a Barbary bar exam prep course. After all, that's the whole point of law school, isn't it? To pass the bar exam and become a licensed practicing attorney. Yet only 5 out of 10 Barbary students actually pass the bar exam. This number is embarrassingly low, so you won't hear it reported. But it is not surprising when you realize how a Barbary class actually works. It's students in a classroom watching pre-recorded videos, not to mention made-up questions and 50 pounds of books. So today, Jacob just got out of one of these 4-hour mind-numbing Barbary classes, and in dire need of a break, he's decided to go grab dinner with one of his law school classmates, Jessica. The dinner's going well, but as most conversations between recent law school graduates, the topic eventually shifts to the bar exam. And Jacob, like every other Barbary student, is thinking there has to be a better way to prepare. Before he can finish venting, Jessica pulls out her iPad and shows him BarMax. The first thing he notices is an extremely user-friendly interface that gives him everything he needs to prepare for and pass the bar exam. Jacob sets his start date, and the calendar automatically populates with his assignments that he can check off as he completes them. It doesn't take Jacob long to notice the quality of BarMax's content. Inside the app, he finds clear and concise outlines for each subject, accompanied with audio lectures provided by Harvard Law School alumni, all of whom are law professors. The convenience of BarMax is also readily apparent. He loves the idea of no longer having to lug around a ton of books or sit in traffic to watch a video in a classroom. Jacob also realizes that he can save $3,000 because BarMax is 1/4 of Barbary's price. But what excites Jacob the most about BarMax is that our pass rate is not 5 out of 10. It is 7 out of 10. Jacob is stoked. He only wishes he knew about BarMax before he wasted his hard-earned money on Barbary. So we are TestMax, and we are revolutionizing and disrupting the test prep space. We have created a platform that distributes extremely high-quality content via mobile devices to students all over the world because great professors in brick-and-mortar classrooms don't scale. But by distributing our courses directly to students with virtually no distribution costs, we're able to dramatically underprice traditional test prep companies. But what about for all those students who want to be like Jacob and gain admission to Harvard Law School? Well, guess what? We just released Lsat Max, the first and only comprehensive LSAT prep course available on iOS. But since the LSAT is a visual exam, we've replaced our audio lectures with whiteboard video lessons that mimic the traditional in-class LSAT prep experience, but only better because our instructor comes with a rewind button. And just like BarMax, Lsat Max offers unparalleled instruction with all of its content created by Harvard Law School alumni who scored in the 99th percentile on the LSAT. And we have just one other announcement. We would like to announce that we recently partnered with Microsoft as one of a few developers selected to develop on the Windows 8 platform to create SAT Max, and we'll be giving it away for free in the Windows 8 store this summer. So lessons learned. The first lesson we've learned is provide real value. Our first app, BarMax California, quickly gained notoriety as the most expensive app in the App Store at $1,000. And while we've already discussed how this is a bargain compared to Barbary, our mission wasn't to create a cheaper mobile version of Barbary. Our mission was to create a better bar exam prep experience. And it's how we were able to do that. It's really been done with an unwavering commitment to the success of our students. At TestMax, remote learning does not mean hands-off learning. We provide unlimited phone and email support to our students. And we do this because our students are the only people that matter. Their success is our success. And as I'm sure most of the people in this room can attest, word of mouth is truly invaluable in the education space. But how do we define success at TestMax? For us, it's not about helping students pass the bar exam who would have passed regardless of what they used to prepare. It's helping those students who, according to conventional wisdom, shouldn't pass the bar exam. Like Sheila Mojazeb, who failed the bar exam 3 times, twice using Barbary, once with Kaplan, before passing on her 4th attempt using nothing but BarMax California. Or our most recent success story of Marsha Teasley, a graduate of People's College of Law, an unaccredited law school in California, who failed the bar exam 5 times before turning to BarMax. In fact, Marsha spent more money on her bar exam prep than she did on her entire legal education. Conventional wisdom gave her an 11% chance of passing the bar exam. And I'm happy to report that conventional wisdom was wrong once again, as Marsha passed the California bar exam in February of 2012 using nothing but BarMax. Our second lesson is that you can compete with anyone. Coming from Michael Corleone's famous quote from Godfather 2, if history has taught us anything, is that you can kill anyone, Well, if our TestMax experience has taught us anything, is that you can compete with anyone. Everyone thought Barbary was untouchable. After all, it has been a monopoly in the space for decades now. But yet only 3 weeks after we launched, Barbary expanded its offerings in an effort to stay more competitive. And just 10 months after we launched, Barbary's parent company, Thomson Reuters, placed the company up for sale. Yeah. Yeah.
For TestMax. I think you got it. Good lessons. Just to be clear, the actual people who you referenced in your lessons were real people?
Real people, yes.
And the stock photography models earlier
those were
stock photography models. Okay, got it. All right, so we're just to be clear. Back to back, so what did you think? TestMax.
So what percentage of law students this year use this?
For 2011, we got to a little bit over 1% of all of California takers. So, yeah.
Had the rest of them heard of you, or where might they hear of you in the future?
Well, yeah. So that's the main thing is getting the word out. But most students have heard of us. At this point, it's really combating the perception that Barbary is the best thing since sliced bread. People have been using Barbary to pass the bar exam for decades now. Not really so much that Barbary is anything special. It's the bar exam is a minimum competency exam. Most people are going to pass, at least from Tier 1 law schools. So really the issue is, I've always said, it doesn't matter if BarMax was free, people wouldn't use it. What matters is that it works. And the more success stories we have, like Sheila and Marcia, the more people I feel will adopt.
So it's not a price issue? Would people buy both? I mean, if one's $4,000 and one was $400, then it would be like, oh, this is just icing on the cake. So what is it seems like you've priced yourself just at a price point of $1,000 where if I'm a Barbie customer for $4,000, I might say that's not worth it. But for $400, I might say, oh, that's only 10% more. I might as well have that as a backup.
Yeah, so willingness to pay is clearly not an issue. But the issue is we don't recommend students use 2 courses because we feel that the issue with Barbary is that they overwhelm students. And if you're using 2 sets of materials, even though it's probably going to be the same black letter law, phrasing things even slightly differently, and passive voice is very common in legal language. It's confusing for students. So we don't recommend it just because we feel that's the flaw with Barbary's model. It's overwhelming the students.
I think what you're doing is really great. Sort of the answer before from the test type guys was a little bit saying mobile is maybe not the right way to go, and I think you guys have gone all mobile. I kind of challenge you to say you're obviously offering $300 to Apple. Is there a way, some way around that, because that could help you from a pricing point of view, right?
Yeah. So for our first app, we didn't do any of that stuff. But now, as we're growing our new app, we're going to move to the Barbary model. Barbary has an app. It's free. People sign up outside of the store and they give them access.
Cindy, you have all the inside information, so I might as well ask, this 30% that Apple applies equally to games, education, business software, do you think there's ever going to be any flexibility there? Because clearly in a case with a $1,000 test prep app, it makes no sense, and maybe they should cap it at a $50 VIG or a $100 VIG. Do you think there's any chance they'll change that?
I don't know. If you look at the announcements from Monday, it looks like they're trying to get their fingers into more stuff, right? I think.
How so? Expand for the audience.
Well, on Monday they announced, their wallet, right, and their wallet will store the gift cards and boarding passes and other things, right? And I just think, sort of a tax that they're going to put on everyone, and I think it's on companies like these guys to find creative ways to do it. And the one thing I'll flip you on the other side, I think Apple announced on Monday that they have something like 540 million credit cards on file, which also make your purchase easier because your credit card's already part of iTunes. So the challenge that you'll see is that when you move off that model, you may not get as many people just clicking through because you have to go and edit your credit card into your system.
That could make Apple $1 trillion business if they had a payment system.
So this is mobile only?
Mobile only, yes. iOS now, Windows 8 coming.
Okay. So this is obviously, I'll probably get booed for it, but do you think a web component or something like that gives you an experience that syncs back to mobile might help with onboarding and drive a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just recently uploaded Lsat Max onto Udemy, so students can have online access, and we want to bring it online too. Our vision was there's so many online test prep companies already. Really, the new medium of mobile would give us a chance to differentiate ourselves. and then focus on offering all the things that come along with it, including online.
And how are how are students finding out about this? Is it through word of mouth or through the law firms they're working at, or just what's the?
So yeah, word of mouth is the key right now. We have a free app, BarMax MPRE, which is an exam that students have to take before they can take the bar exam, and it was our way of showing them our product without any real pressure or outlay of cash, which has been very helpful for students to get a better idea of what we're doing. And a lot of students who use that, do well on MPRE, they end up using us for the bar exam.
So one piece of advice I can give you is Apple has like an enterprise app store, which works as part of their volume purchasing program. And what you could do is you could partner with law firms that have students, and the law firms basically deposit the money in for that volume purchasing program, and then they provide the UDIDs for those phones. Yeah. And then so if you work at Winston Sonsini and you're basically you're a law student there, they could offer this as part of their service. That may be something for you to investigate.
Yeah, absolutely. Something we're considering. The only thing was first we had to establish that we had a credible track record and it worked. And now that we've done that, this summer we're going to spend it going out to law firms and trying to save them a bunch of money too, because they don't get a discount for Barbary. They're spending $4,000 a pop.
For your core product, have you changed the curriculum from year to year?
Oh, we are constantly updating it. Yeah.
Have you had any problems with people stealing it, seeing as it's pretty easy to give someone your iPad?
No, I'm sure it's happened, but we don't worry about that right now.
Law students stealing intellectual property, not as big of a
at this point,
issue, or a bigger issue?
We don't mind it because we feel that if they pass their iPad along to someone else, that person's going to pass using BarMax, and they're going to tell people about it. So
you mentioned 40% better efficacy, and we heard Nolan talk about efficacy as the future. How do you actually know that it's 40% better, and can you prove that in a replicable way, or is that more anecdotal?
Well, no. Our pass rate for California bar exam last year was 71%. The pass rate overall for the California bar exam was 50.6%. Barbary doesn't release their pass rate, but since they openly claim to prep 90-95% of the people who sit for the bar exam, we backed our way into it.
Right.
But we feel that the reason we're more successful is really focusing on the student. And while scare tactics won't overwhelm a certain subset of students, for other students, it gets them to the point where it literally cripples them, where they can't process any of the information. And the unanimous thing about students who have used different courses and then turned to us is that our outlines are clear, concise, very digestible. They don't feel overwhelmed, so they're able to do it.
Let's hear it for TestMax.
Thank you.